Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I have now arrived to the state of Missouri in the town of Gallatin. It's about 50 miles east of St. Joseph, Missouri. It's a small town of about 1,800 population, and the elevation here is only 925, but the Verizon internet is pretty strong here. So that's good, and I'm at their city park, which is called Dockery Park, which has some free hookup RV camping here. So I want to show you this location next. When you first come in, you'll probably see this big building. It's just a meeting room. And to the left of that is some RV hookup spaces. And across from there is the restroom building. There are room for several small RVs here. You'll see this water faucet bowl, which just barely works. And here are electrical hookups. There's 8 of them. However, all 8 of them are 20 amp only. So if 20 amp works for you, that's fine. Here's some playground equipment, a sheltered picnic area. But if you go over to the other side of the park where I am, there's a couple 30 amp hookups. And then here is a baseball field. The town is very hilly. And if you come into the park from downtown, if you turn on to the right onto this gravel road, there's a small lake here. I would call it a pond, actually. And off to the right is tennis courts. And a little further from the tennis courts is something I've never seen before in a city park. These are actually archery targets. They put their targets onto those things. That's what these people are going to do, I guess. The pond has a little fishing dock. I guess it is. I assume you can fish there. There's only 4 things you can't do. Too bad it's no swimming. And from the dock, you can see where I'm parked over there. Right in front of me is this gazebo. And over here is a swing hanging out of that tree. Then there's a picnic table and a dumpster over there. And this, it looks like an open air barn. There's some bleachers at the end, so they might put on some kind of a rodeo there. And then just past the barn is another baseball field. I can't go on the field because I have not been invited by a coach or an umpire. Next to the dumpster is another restroom building. However, this one does not look very inviting. And right beside me here is a water faucet. Let's see if it works. Yep. And a single 30 amp outlet. There are only 2 30 amp RV parking spaces. This next one also has a water faucet. And by the way, the breaker box is right over there. Took me a while to figure that out. I started to back in here, which I could have done, but I wanted to have a nice windshield view of the gazebo and the pond. And once I clean my windshield, this will be a nice view. I can look out once in a while to see that nice view here. Here's a grocery store, and it looks like there are 4 eating places in town. I'm gonna go for this one called Mi Mexico. I really like this restaurant. And how does this look, folks? Beef chimichanga and enchiladas. Now, one thing I don't think I've mentioned for a while is the situation of powering a 50 amp RV when you only have a 30 amp outlet to hook up to. Now, in the winter, it's really not a problem because you're not using that much electricity. But in the summer, when you want to run your air conditioners, then it is. Because when you're plugged in the 50 amp, you really have access to 100 amp. And you're not likely to ever use more than about 60 or so amps at a time anyway. So you don't normally give a thought to how much power you're using. But when you're only plugged in a 30 amp, then you have to be very often throughout the day being aware of how much power you're using so that you don't overdo it and trip a breaker. Now, most people believe that with 30 amp you can only run one air conditioner. Well, I often run both my air conditioners at the same time on 30 amp. And in order to safely do that without overdoing your power coming from the 30 amp outlet, there's one key thing you need to have. And that is an inverter control panel that has settings that are more than your standard model inverter control panel that you probably got on your RV. This is it. So I only got an inverter control panel that was about half this size that had very few features. So I knew I was going to need a better one, so I upgraded it to this model. And the feature that you want to look for is AC in control. So when I activate that, what it does is it does not allow the electricity from the shore power to go into the inverter. So with that activated, everything is still powered in the RV, but everything that is powered through the inverter is now powered by the batteries only. Everything 12 volt, everything 120 volt. The only thing the shore power will be powering are the things that are wired directly to the shore power, does not go through the inverter, and the most important item that is the air conditioners. So now my batteries are using 14 amps and my shore power here coming in as shown on my energy management system shows 0 amps being used right now. So now I'm going to turn on my rear air conditioner and you'll see the amps jump up. So the air conditioner, my rear air conditioner takes about 10, 11, 12 amps once it gets started. And this is still down at 14 amps coming out of the batteries. So now I'm going to turn on my front air conditioner and you'll see it jump up. It has an initial spike which my system can handle. So then it settles down to about 22, 23, 24 amps running both air conditioners at the same time. I really like this. They do have a nice park here, especially with the pond in the background there. And by the way, I have not seen a RV dump station anywhere, and I have not seen any signs with any rules about using the park, and particularly for the RV parking. So I guess standard rules apply. Stay as long as you need to. Good day, folks.